Namaste, everyone. In today's discussion, I would like to share my journey of sexuality and how it has catapulted me into higher levels of wisdom. I have my North Node in Scorpio. For those of you who do not know the North Node is in your astrological chart, okay, which you can go on astro.com and you can type in your birthday, the time of your birth, the location in which you were born in, okay, like the city, and it will give you this wheel, okay, very much like a wheel, and it's a map. That's your astrological map. And in that map, there's going to be a North Node, and there's going to be a zodiac in that North Node. Okay, North Node represents like the North Star. It is the direction, the target you're headed towards. Okay, and the South Node, it represents what you're leaving behind. So my North Node, so the incarnational rebirth, okay, that I am seeking in this particular incarnation moving forward, is in Scorpio. So the South Node is going to be the polarity of Scorpio. Just like every zodiac has a polarity, just like you have a coin and there's two sides of one coin. So the other side of Scorpio is Taurus. They're on the same coin, but they're on different sides of the same coin. So one is representing the North Node, which is facing out, okay, facing out, facing forward, and one is the South Node to the coin, which is facing back, which is behind, okay? So Scorpio is Pluto, and Pluto is all about transformation, sexuality, and expressing deep emotion, okay? So my unique journey of sexuality has been very much about uncovering a lot of deep emotions that a lot of people would think as too scary or too dark, okay? But a part of the Scorpio in that direction, you could say, that cycle of rebirth is very much navigating those dark emotions and gaining a shamanistic tool that can help to liberate such emotions. And that's why the Scorpio becomes very much an empowerment figure. So through the suffering of the deep emotion of judgment, a lot of it is like judgment, okay? Shame, judgment, guilt, these kinds of heavy-duty emotions on planet Earth. Through having that physical experience, going through, we could say, the dirt, okay? The dirt of our emotional angst, we have an opportunity to gain a shamanistic tool or method that liberates that and that sets us free, okay? That sets us free. So we all need doors. There are many people we know on this planet Earth that are very much held bound. They're in the dirt. Okay, they're in the dirt of their shame, they're in the dirt of their judgment, they're in the dirt of their guilt, and some people are in the dirt for lifetimes, okay? And a part of how we set this free, this we could say this repeating, living in the dirt kind of thing, is we have to have someone, okay, who has that ability to handle the heavy emotions of what it is to live in the dirt, of all of the judgments and all of the lurking shame and the guilt, and it's quite auspicious and a little esoteric and hidden and all that kind of stuff. Somebody needs to be able to go through that and gain a level of a shamanistic tool to open a door amongst that dirt and to walk through into a higher dimension. So that's very much like the shaman. The shaman is pressed down like coal by the weight of this world. It could be through illness, it could be through near-death experience, it could be through trauma, anything that really presses that person into the dirt and then presses them down into the dirt. That is usually that Pluto, that Scorpio, because through that pressure of this world, You can become like carbon, which is coal basically, or you can become crystalline, which is diamond. So coal even has this polarity, the diamond, which is a higher frequency of itself, and then the carbon state, which is, we could say, we all know that it's almost like an exhaust, okay? It's like the carbon is almost like an exhaust of itself. So, okay, that's the shaman journey, the Scorpio, the Pluto journey. So the two signs that, two planets and two zodiacs that very much have a huge influence on this planet Earth is Mars and is Pluto. And when we didn't know about Pluto, Mars was in place of Pluto. Okay, so before we were able to discover Pluto, Mars was basically that Pluto energy. So Mars is ruled by Aries. And Aries and Scorpio are very much kind of like a tag team. They're both very revolutionary, except Scorpio has that ability to revolutionize through self-empowerment. So I'm liberating my emotions. I'm liberating my shame, the judgment, the guilt that's just keeping me in the dirt of my life. I'm going to liberate that. I'm going to elevate that. I'm going to master that so I can become a crystalline energy, which is like a diamond. And what are diamonds? They give off light. Okay, diamonds, they reflect light. They reflect rainbow. We call it rainbow, which is basically light. So diamond is very much that crystalline soul we have within us, where we're able to radiate and to emit these frequencies of light. And that is the higher potential of humanity, which is to basically emit light. Because we know in the basic of creation, without light, there is no life. Okay, we know this. That's why other planets in our solar system don't have life, because there is not enough consistent light. Okay? So we understand that when it comes to our life, to our vitality, to our health, to our well-being, to our happiness, there needs to be light. And a part of that pressure of literally being pressed down to the dirt by the weight of all this judgment and shame and guilt and stuff like that is not for us to just become carbon exhaust that just spills out into the atmosphere. No, it is to gain a tool, some sort of method that helps us to evolutionize that state, that cold-like state, that pressure, into literally almost revolutionize that into its higher potential, which is that diamond shape, that diamond frequency, which is emitting light. Okay, light, like crystals in a cave. When you put a light in a light source, these crystals create like this great universe of just these lights everywhere, this beauty everywhere. It's shimmering and it's glinting, it's gleaming, it's sparkling. That's very much human. Okay, so I wanted to share that for those of you who are interested in about your direction, what is propelling you forward. You can look at your North Node. That's very much what's propelling you forward when it comes to the deeper layers of yourself, which has to do with your evolutionary necessity to evolve. Okay, what you are needing. Okay, to move forward. Okay, what is the cycle for you in this particular life? Okay, now with that being said, it's important as I share this, because it's important for you if you want to, you could say, learn about your sexuality as a person. It is good to look at your astrological chart. Okay, it can be very helpful to know your sexual rhythm. Okay, the North Node can help you with your sexual rhythm, okay, as well as even your Mars, because Mars has to do with desire, like Aries. It has to do with that fire, that ecstasy, that child who's ready to go, who's ready to do things, about deep creativity. So with that Pluto, if you want to explore that Pluto and that Mars in your astrological chart, you'll get a look at your sexual energy, okay, and the dynamic of it, which everybody's is going to be different. So I have my Mars in Aries, and I have my Pluto in Sagittarius. So what that means is that I have a lot of creative energy moving through me consistently. I have a lot of my Mars in Leo. So I have a lot of stamina. I have a lot of fun-loving joy, okay, going on when it comes to expressing my sexuality. And I also enjoy learning. I enjoy learning creativity. I enjoy evolving creativity. I have a great sarcasm and play. Play for sexuality and creativity. Okay, so if you look at your Mars and your Pluto, that will kind of help you, just a basic on your sexual rhythm. Okay, you can even look at your partner and see their native sexual rhythm as well. Okay, so getting into so I shared about the North Node in Scorpio because the awakening of my sexuality brought up a lot of deep emotion. Okay, a lot of emotion that people don't really want to, deal with. We'd rather ignore, and that can be the we could say the negative side of Scorpio. When Scorpio doesn't want to feel, Scorpio has stripped himself of all of his inherent gift to liberate. When he ignores the emotions, he loses all his power. Yes. So part of that Scorpio is to feel very deeply and to embrace the feeling very deeply. And through that deep feeling, to discover a tool that can liberate that feeling. So therefore the shaman becomes, we call a shaman, which is for the tribe, okay? It's like a wise one for the tribe, because through that personal experience of being in the dirt and then liberating that state of dirt into we call that crystalline diamond energy of light, now they have a talent that they can help the whole tribe to get out of any sort of realities that are basically like carbon exhaust. Okay, that's not bringing enough light into their life for them to actually create more life. Okay, more life. So we have that carbon state, which is like death. It's basically like decomposed, most decomposed stuff, death. Okay, that's the side of Scorpio, where everything is just death. It's just carbon. I don't want to feel my emotions. I just kind of want to, check out, and it's just too heavy. So I'm just going to basically just be the embodiment of death, which is being in the dirt, just sitting in the dirt and allowing the dirt to just consume you. And that's death, But then we have life, birth. That's the other side, birth, which is you're birthing new realities, you're birthing doorways, you're birthing new paths for yourself, and you're becoming quite, you can say, interdimensional, okay, through your own tool, your own method that you've discovered in yourself, that's able now to carve out avenues, carve out dimensions, carve out realities where you can walk through those doors and you can have new experiences. Yes, it's like we call, transurfing reality. Okay, we call the alchemizing reality. Okay, so when it comes to the sexuality, so I mentioned that very thoroughly because that played a big role in my journey thus far when it comes to sexuality. The Scorpio energy, very heavy duty. So in where to begin? Okay. So, my first, you could say, sexual relationship, basically, as you know, I was sexually violated. That's kind of the what I choose, the words I use to describe what I experienced. Sexually violated, and I used that to expand me. Okay, so a lot of times we can experience, what I say, the dirt. Okay, the heavy, the dirt, the weight of this world, and we can become like dirt, where we become very bitter, we become very resentful, very angry, very disappointed, shameful. Okay, and become like dirt, take on that death energy. Okay, but I chose to expand upon that experience and to pressure myself, to challenge myself, to gain wisdom from that. And wisdom is what we call that crystalline soul, that diamond frequency where you're emitting light. Light is sound. Light is vibration. Light is, we say, the speed of light. It's very fast energy. It's very fast moving. Okay, and that velocity, we say, in light is our soul's is what carries our soul frequency. Okay, that carbon exhaust is kind of it's slow, sluggish. Okay, it's like kind of just chilling, sort of thing. Okay, so on the day I wanted to express that I felt I was being taken advantage of sexually. That's kind of the beginning of my journey. Okay, I was being taken advantage of sexually. This person did not have much self-control. They were very much had a lot of sexual drive, a lot of sexual energy, but they had no self-control. It was very impulsive, and it was very all-consuming. Okay, so there was not much dialogue, and there was not much communication about the boundaries and about the safety. Okay, so as I started to feel like uncomfortable and unsafe, that's when he started to pull away. Okay, because I was no longer kind of, you could say, just participating, naive in a participation with his fantasies, that he was just basically kind of streaming through himself and playing out with me. And this was my first sexual relationship, so I did not have, I was just learning. Okay, I was in a state where I was very receptive, and I was very willing to participate and to try different things, as Mars and Leo and Pluto and Sagittarius is very welcoming, but he was very much experienced. Okay, but he was younger than me, so I had this this idea that we would be very much matched, because he was younger than me, and I was a little older, but I didn't have like any experience, so I thought we'd be a match. But since he had a lot of like sexual partners and I did not, basically I know that he was bringing in his sexual experience with these other people into the experience with me. And these other people that he was with were very sexually active, or they knew what they were doing, okay, kind of thing. They've been around the block. So he was basically kind of, almost I felt like he was trying to pound that in me, these other women and how their take on sex, okay, because he had an older woman that was very sexual, and I feel like she had her all kind of the porn kind of way of sex, that erotic sort of sex. But for me, I was not there, because I've never done it before, so I was just learning. It was a very playful experience for me. It was like play. But without that sense of dialogue, it it became, it almost made me feel very nervous and made me feel very unsafe. Okay? So when I began to start to express this to him, he would just kind of like, I don't really want to hear it. I don't really want to talk about it. Let's just like kind of, put it under the rug. So what that did is the feelings of me feeling taken advantage of and me being basically kind of violated, feeling like I was just doing things that I didn't really feel comfortable, or he didn't really make me feel comfortable, kind of thing. There was just a huge disconnect in that, and that's what caused me basically to feel emotionally upset. So in the final day that I ever saw him in my life, okay, basically he wanted to do whatever he wanted to do. Okay, I feel like he was watching porn either that day or either days before that, and the porn was probably maybe like some hardcore stuff. I don't know. Okay, just porn, and then he basically just kind of did that with me, sort of thing. Whatever that porn was streaming through him, he was reenacting on my body. But I almost started to cry. I got very emotional, and I just felt like I wasn't feeling good. Like I felt like my stomach was twisting. I felt like I was also feeling like I was in pain. I felt like just like kind of in this pain feeling, like emotional pain, but also I had like something in my body, like some sort of pain that was just something about my body. I just don't know what it was, if it was my actual vagina or if it was like my stomach. Something was going on. And I remember I tried to express to him, and then he just kind of just walked out. That I was like, I'm feeling like something really like not's going on in my body, and I don't feel very good, and I feel very scared. And he just like basically walked out, and I think just to smoke pot or something like that. I don't know. And so he basically kind of just like kicked me out of the house, because I feel like he knew what he did. Okay, he knew what he did. And I'm sharing this all with you guys to let you women or men know, okay, both sides, to let you know that we're all in this together. To not feel embarrassed, because I feel embarrassed sometimes. Don't feel ashamed, and don't be so critical on yourself for the experiences that you have in life. Because a part of gaining wisdom is about sharing. Okay, with your loved ones. Okay, it's about being in community that have been through similar things. That's how we gain wisdom. We don't gain it by just hiding somewhere or just suppressing our feelings and just keep it moving. We actually gain wisdom when we begin to even express it with ourselves, like through music or through journaling or through poetry. So I'm sharing this with you all to create this space where you can have the self-esteem to revolutionize these heavy in the dirt experiences, to bring about greater light into your life, with greater insight, greater wisdom, a strength to yourself. Like diamond is very strong, okay? Very, very strong and resilient, relentless kind of thing. So basically, he kind of just threw me out, sort of thing, and after that, I don't think I really heard of him. He didn't really text me at all, and then I texted him, and I told him, it just came out, like, it was just like my whole throat just, like, opened, and I expressed to him that I felt that he basically took advantage of me, he sexually violated me, and I don't want to ever see you again. That's kind of what I said. And I feel like that fire was almost like boiling inside of me, but I didn't allow it to come out. I didn't allow myself to communicate, hey, this is not safe for me. I'm not ready for that. And what that did is, over time, is just feeling my body sort of being abused in a way. I was like, I became scared. I became totally scared of that person. I was like, no. Okay. So went through a lot. Okay, that's when the Scorpio came in. So those of you who want to know about when did the North Node Scorpio came in. Okay, so I had a crash course on the cycle of the incarnational cycle that I'm entering in, about that deep emotional experience and liberating that emotion for yourself and for humanity. The deep emotions really came up after that. After I was not talking to him, and I was left with just a huge, just emotions that were just so overwhelming, very intense. It was like every day, a knock down every single day. And what that did is, through, like I said, that death, just death everywhere, like constant, like death. And that also brought up this resilience inside of me, okay, that shamanistic resilience to devote myself wholeheartedly to my spiritual practice. And that's what I did, because that's the only way I would have survived all of that emotional, whatever that was, deep emotional suffering and torture that was going on. A lot of voices, I could say, of just, you're a piece of crap, you're worthless. It was it was very amplified after that experience. But I just decided, some days, like early in the morning, like I wake up super early and just do like 4 hours of just straight spiritual work. And I'm talking about I'm like meditation, kundalini yoga, mantra, chanting, these kinds of things. And I would just go at it, and I'd be like crying super intensely. And I'd just be like, oh my God, I can't do it. I'd just be like going and going and going and going and going and going. Okay. So, like I said, a part of my journey, having this very influential Scorpio in me, this Pluto energy in me, is that I want to experience the devotion to liberation it takes to really set free what seems almost unrepairable. Okay, within me, with emotions that some people just, it seems there's no way I could free that. It's just too much. Okay, within myself. So so basically after that, I numbed my sexual energy. Okay, I just numbed it. I just like, I don't want to numb you. I mean, I don't want to experience you anymore. I'm just going to lock you into a cage, because I feel quite embarrassed that I allowed myself to be in this thing with somebody that was not respectful of my body or considerate of me emotionally and physically. So I felt very embarrassed, okay? So, and I felt very ashamed of myself. So I basically numbed that sexual energy, but I was very, like, I have, a lot of energy. I have a lot of, like, a lot of that Mars, Leo, Pluto, Sagittarius, a lot of fire all the time. So what I did is I just used what that sex, that natural sexuality that I have, and I just used it for everything creative. So during that time, I became extremely creative, and I started just painting all the time, singing all the time. I started to write all the time, poems, short stories, scripts. I mean, it became this huge explosion of creativity, and that very much reflect that I actually have huge amount of sexual energy that is always moving through me. But I use that for my inner child rather than for what we call physical contact or orgasm or intercourse with another person. I use that to basically my sexual energy for my inner child. Okay. So what that did was it brought about this deep closeness with my soul So like I said, it keeps going back to that Scorpio energy, that my journey of sexuality keeps going back to that Scorpio energy. It brought me this deep closeness with my soul. And the inner child is your soul. Okay, it's your purity, basically. It's your purity, it's your piety. Okay. So through painting, the frequency paintings, or angels and chi is what I call them, that brought me very deeply close to my inner child. And through reading a lot, on even like forest bathing, on the Sophia Code, such books that are about basically initiating yourself into healing modalities that can help humanity. That's basically kind of like I'm initiating myself as a healer and giving myself modalities to heal. So that really helped me transmutate I was using that sex frequently with this guy, okay, because I was wanting to learn about my sexual energy, so I was using that in this relationship, a lot of the sexual energy in that relationship. So I basically just transmutated that in the way that instead of it being like physical, okay, I use it to be what you call more emotional and intellectual. So I kind of, transformed that. I changed the direction of that sex with that intercourse, which is physical, being very lower chakras, about pleasure, orgasm, that kind of thing. And I just directed it towards creativity, emotional well-being, intellectual pursuits, that kind of thing. And that became a fondness. It brought me a fondness with my soul, and it brought me this miraculous divination. This miraculous divination that I have with life right now. So, but the emotions, okay, the deep emotions, the suffering, okay, the torment of it, of the thoughts of I was worthless, I was thrown away, I didn't mean much, because these are things I actually heard from him. Like the night before he sexually violated me and then kind of just like threw me out of the house or something like that, he said he throws away women. So that was a program that really locked into my subconscious, as well as the feeling of being worthless. Because when I told him that I felt raped, because he basically said, I don't want to talk to you, go away, kind of thing. So I felt, okay, I'm worthless. So that locked into my subconscious, that thing, okay? And then when I talked to him on the phone, the last time I ever talked to him on the phone, I asked, did you care for me? And he basically said, a little bit in the beginning, but no. Okay, so that locked into my subconscious. So I had all of these beliefs about myself that were heavy duty, locked into my subconscious, that I was literally relaying again and again and again, that I'm worthless, the guy just throws me away, I don't mean anything, every day. It was very, I was like feeding that part of me so much by continuing to just second guess myself. That's how it got in, is through second guessing myself, second guessing my worth, second guessing how much value I have. That's how I was basically feeding those locks, that lock I had inside of me. Okay, so I cried so much, and a part of my journey of sexuality is embracing emotions. That emotions will come up. Again, I have my South Node in Taurus, so I'm pretty much a Taurus energy. I like to be practical, I like to be consistent, I like to be dependable, I like everything to be organized, and I like to kind of oversee everything. So kind of that overseer sort of mind, that executive mind, where you don't get too emotional. You're more about just the facts, you're more about the precision, you're more about just getting things done. But Scorpio is not about that, and I wanted to just get things done. Okay, I wanted to oversee everything, make sure everything's organized, everything's clear cut, everything's directed, everything is consolidated. But the Scorpio, I experience none of that. That Taurus, I experience the deep emotions that seem, it's like a deep ocean that it's like everywhere, and nothing is really kind of what it seems, and it's always changing, and it's always different, and it's okay, it's just vast. So with so with that particular experience, okay, it was very, I talk about it as the most impactful experience. It really awakened my higher levels of wisdom when it comes to relationships in me. Is I discovered that my path of currently, okay, my path of sexuality, what is important for me, okay, it's going to be different for everybody, okay, because everybody has a different rhythm, a sexual rhythm. That's just kind of how it is, you know. So my sexual rhythm, through that experience, I learned how much protection and how much safety is important to me. So a part of protection and a part of safety is having a very solid, consistent, and dependable friendship with a man before you're starting to discover your sexual rhythm with each other. Now, that's not going to be for everyone. So what that means is I'm right now waiting until marriage, because I understand that in this particular culture, we're all kind of just jumping into sex with each other. Okay, we're all just kind of doing that, and it's very quick, it's very fast, it ends. A lot of people just have 6 months and then they move on to something else. But for me, that doesn't make me feel safe and doesn't make me feel protected. So a part of my journey of sexuality is having basically a dependable, consistent, and reliable friend, okay, with no sex stuff, friend, partner, okay, a partner, friend, that kind of thing, that the trustworthiness, it just comes naturally through supporting and encouraging each other through, it could be months of just establishing a sense of home with each other. Okay. For me, when there isn't a sense of trustworthiness, and that's not developed in a week, it's not developed in a month, that sense of trustworthiness, when there is sex, okay, you have the communication, you have that dialogue, because you've developed it through the months you were friends, or the months that you were supporting, encouraging each other, establishing like a home front for each other. There is a level of communication. There is a level of you know each other, you know each other's comforts, you know how to, you know, push each other a little bit, but not to the point of, you know, you're shoving them off of into the lion's den kind of thing. And there also comes this level of respect for each other, okay, and their rhythm, your rhythm, and how you kind of play these rhythms together. There's a level of respect. And one thing about this culture that I've noticed is that there is not a lot of respect in our sexual relations with each other. Okay, I learned about the millennial the millennial kind of talk, and about the ghosting and stuff like that. And I've seen a lot of people that, you know, the sex culture of ghosting, and all that does, I can feel the ache of it. It makes you feel worthless. It really does. To give sex to someone and to offer something that's so intimate to you. It's your body. You're offering your body. What's more intimate than that? And then just say, oh, okay, good time, never talk to you again. That is the most painful ache I can ever imagine. That show worth. I could imagine. I'd feel so worthless if I was just doing that. And that's just my personal understanding of my sexuality, okay? Because again, I have that Taurus energy, and Taurus is all about self-respect. It's about self-honoring yourself. So, and self-honoring and self-respecting the body and the mind as well. So anything that is dishonoring, okay, that is devaluing your sense of time, your sense of energy, the value you give, that's a huge blow to that Taurus. It's a great no. So with my sexual journey and moving forward, like I said, marriage is something that gives me a sense of the solid footing, okay? Because with this previous relationship, the communication, when he just kind of, because I expressed to him basically to tell me, kind of, I don't know, just like what you need to say, be honest. And he just kind of cut it off and never spoke to me again, sort of thing. So what that did is it really created this ache in me that, okay, I guess I'm just like not really worth talking to. It's okay. Yeah. So that being my first sexual experience, it was hard for me to kind of put that in my head that I felt violated, and then he just kind of like, I don't really care, sort of thing. I don't really care, kind of thing. So I numbed out, again, I'm numbed out, and then when my periods would come, it would be like crazy. I would be so sad, and I would be so, like, I just wanted to rip my vagina out. I wanted to get sterilized. I even, like, just really, like just want to, like, just punch my reproductive system and hope that I could just drop my vagina out of my body and then just throw it out, you know. That's what I felt like. I just wanted to throw my vagina out. And I even now I'm still wondering, where does that come from? Kind of, it was heavy duty emotions, but I realized it was because of trauma. When we as women, we all kind of carry a lot of trauma, and this trauma can come from past lives, it can come from partners, and that trauma we can store in our reproductive system. We can store it into our vagina. And for me, remedying that trauma has been a process of acceptance, and that has been like a year of just acceptance to whatever happened, and that you just gotta leave it where it is. You can't, just gotta leave it where that was the decision that was made. Sometimes I would think I want you to remake it. Maybe that I can fix that, whatever that decision that was made, to make it a better decision. But I have to just leave it where it is. And that is a part of me growing, is accepting that his choice was to sexually violate me and then just kind of never speak to me, and then kind of say these things to me that made me feel really crappy. And then my acceptance that I chose to walk away and to cut all ties and to completely just detach myself from that and to reinvent myself because of that. That's the journey that I've accepted. And through continuing to reinvent myself and to take this sexuality and catapult myself into higher levels of wisdom, it is bringing me closer to my natural rhythm of how I am in a relationship, and the relationship that best soothes, elevates, and supports me. And the dimension of the relationship that I already have inside of me, wanting to create in this world. That dimension of the partnership, okay? So yes, I share this because I want you all to embrace your sexuality and your journey of it, okay? It may be vastly different from mine, and that's perfectly fine, okay? There is no judgment going on. I have my own, like I said, my own sexual rhythm and the sexual uh, propulsion, okay? And you have your own. But the very fact that we don't talk about sexuality, it can create this, what we call this unspoken, unexpressed communication that we need to have with any partner that we're with, so that we can establish a sense of greater play. Like any sport. If you're playing soccer, like you get to know the people, right? You can't play soccer if the people are, if you're not communicating to each other. And communication doesn't have to be words. It can also be body language as well. Like this, you can just read your soccer team. You know your soccer team because you've been with them maybe for years. So you know the littlest thing is an indication of, oh, that's a message. I need to come over here, or I need to do this kind of thing. And that's why a part of my wisdom that I've gained from my own personal life is about friendship. Taking everything back to the basics. Everything's getting so convoluted, so complicated, and relationships it's just one big mess. It's so confusing. It's like, whoa, listening to people and all their different relationships, and people talk about third parties, and people talk about people with somebody and looking for somebody else, somebody's married but interested in somebody else, all of that. Let's get back to just the basics. And this is what the Scorpio has brought me back to, the basics. Like I said, my inner child. And what is most satisfying for any inner child, even children, is friendship. You have friendship with your mom, you have friendship with your teachers, and friendship is trustworthiness. Respect is earned. You're initiated, like your soccer team. Like you are all initiating each other into higher experiences with each other. Like at first you're somewhat friends, and then you become like allies, and then you become like, let's say, even greater friends, and you sort of initiate each other. And a part of initiation, even the tantras, the tantrics, the practices, okay, sex is the last, because sex is like almost a prize. It's a diamond. It's a prize. And when it's no longer a prize, we're bored. Okay? Because we didn't actually go through the initiation process of actually earning this experience with somebody. And then it becomes just some like brushing your teeth kind of thing. And once it loses its boredom, that's the real bummer for a lot of men and women, because it becomes like brushing their teeth. It's just something that I don't know, nothing moves through me anymore. And there's a lot of people out that, even in relationships, because there's no level of I'm initiating myself. I'm working towards something. We as humans, we have to work towards something. That's who we are. And that necessarily is like a masculine drive to make a business. It could be very much as like a feminine maturing my emotions, working on my creativity, helping my children, that kind of thing. Okay, attending my garden. We as humans, we want to evolve. We want to be initiated. We want to grow. We want to heal. We want to excel. Just like that soccer team. But a part of that is trustworthiness. It's establishing that trustworthiness. It's establishing that reliability with each other. It's creating that intimacy. And like we talk about the real amazing soccer team, they've been with each other a lot of times for years, some of those players. And they have this intimacy where it's almost like they're so in sync, they just know like 3 seconds ahead. They just know kind of the other person and that kind of thing. And that was earned. That intimacy was earned. It was a reward for their trustworthiness with each other, their continued efforts, their continued practice, their continued dialogue, communication with each other. So I think a part of relationships, even with my first partner, what I've discovered, particularly with men, is to look at the mother. So the relationship between the man and the mother is actually very important. So if the man has a mother who he doesn't really look up to, okay, let's say he looks down at her, or he disrespects her, or he doesn't like her, that is, I can say, the red flag for a woman. Okay, so because that's basically how the man is with the mother, is very much how he kind of views his relationship with women in general. So, okay, so for example, this partner that I was mentioning, his again, I use him like as like this great catapult, okay? And I've analyzed everything about that, to pull, to suck in any little piece of wisdom I can gather from everything about that relationship. And what I discovered about this person's mother is that she did not take care of him financially or emotionally. So as a young boy, he was very much just kind of left to provide for himself financially, left to just provide for his emotions, because I feel his mother was very much, she was just about herself. Like she wanted to kind of figure out her life purpose, but she had kids. So when you have kids and you're sitting there like, but I want to figure out my life purpose kind of thing, you need to do that before you have kids, because when those kids come, they need you, and they need you to give. And I feel like she, I don't know, maybe got divorced, remarried, and she just very much wanted to just be about her. She wanted to take care of herself. She wanted to be happy with herself, but she needed to give to those kids, and I don't think she gave much to those kids. No voice of reason, no wisdom, not even much financial support. So what happened is, as the mother, of course, not being a giver, the boy trying to become a man doesn't necessarily have the skills, the emotional skills, as well as the good relationship with himself, with the family, and that kind of trickles into relationships with other people. So, I mean, there's so many dynamics that can play out. There could be a man whose mother was reliant on him for money. Let's say she had a lot of issues with the dad, and she was very resentful towards the dad, and she used the son to kind of, help her pay off her bills or make money, that kind of thing. So he may view women as basically they want money. So he may subconsciously be going for women who are just like the mother archetype. Or like in the other example I used, that man's mother was very needy. Like she couldn't really, didn't have a consistent job. She didn't really have a sense of identity, a sense of self-esteem. So she was kind of like this needy vibes, okay? She just didn't really have her own thing going on. It's just kind of, didn't really have her own thing going on. So he made this person go for women who could be needy or like that. They don't have much going on. They're just sort of just doing the day-to-day thing. Maybe they don't really know how to, provide for themselves or emotionally, take care of themselves, that kind of thing. So that's the wisdom that part of the wisdom that I've gained about women and the man. Really, when you say set intentions for a partner, really set intentions that the mother is a very strong, very wealthy, okay, I'm saying wealthy with life, with a sense of purpose, with mission, with education, these kinds of things, and who has an established sense of self. I feel like that's important. Who's not so easily imbalanced by these kinds of things, okay? Who has this established sense of self. Because what that will do is that will set the boy, her son, to become a man who is very, very respectful and sincere to his own femininity and to relationships with women. Okay, because he's got that from the mother. He's got that from the mother. So, also what I learned, okay, in that particular relationship dynamic is expression. It's important that we express ourselves, because men, they don't know how to express themselves, okay, as well as women. Women still have difficulties, but men especially. But relating to someone else and to yourself, honestly, to yourself and to other people, it is an expression. Okay, it's an expression. It is a devotion. It is a movement. Like sex, it's a movement. Relationship, it's a movement. Our body, it's a movement. And a part of that movement, moving to in new ways, is through expression. Okay, that's how we open up new doors. It's just like intentions. So you set the intentions. You express it. You express it to your parents or your job, or express it to your friends. You express it to the universe, and that creates a new movement. So a lot of us, men and sometimes women, we don't really want to express ourselves because we have some deep shame or judgment or guilt about something inside of ourselves. So we just keep the same thing moving, and we don't know why new movement's not coming in. Either could even be with a relationship, because we're not expressing ourselves. Expression is a constant evolution you have with yourself. Your expression improves the more you express. So sometimes we get caught up where we choke. We kind of like choke on the things that we need to express, because we don't know how we're going to be taken, and we don't know if it's the right thing, or if it's going to lead in the direction we want, or if it's actually going to work in our favor. Okay, we all have that kind of thing. But when we begin to amplify from that heart, okay, when we amplify from the heart, there is less chances of expression that is we call the ruin of ourselves, okay, or the ruin of other people. Because when we amplify that heart, our language, just like play in soccer, it becomes very sincere. So the very fact that we are scared to express ourselves, because we are scared that we don't have the sincerity behind our voice to be understood. That's what we're scared of. We're scared of we don't have the sincerity in our voice to actually be understood. So any sort of things we express to other partners, let's say you say something and it gets taken the wrong way, and then that spins off, and that person never forgets, and they resent me, and then I'm kind of just left and so confused, that kind of thing. That amplification of that heart, our expression becomes so enlivening, so native and rhythmic to our soul. The sincerity in that language becomes so captivating, so fascinating to our partner, that they are opened by us, opened by what we have to say. I'm talking about, they may not be open, but they're opened. And that's that power of the heart. So the very fact we all are like conflicting with each other and just like that back and forth, like, you don't understand me, no, you don't understand me. Usually it only takes one person in that dimension of that relationship who elevates that heart, amplifies that heart, and has an expression that has a sincerity, a soulfulness behind it, that has that person, the whole dynamic of the relationship is being moved. Talk about jazz, you're moved. That's how relationships are. We're supposed to be moved by each other, not in this rat race of conflict with each other. We're supposed to be moved by each other. But we're not moved because all of us are basically, a lot of us, okay, not all of us, a lot of us are, we haven't really tuned ourselves to the heart. We haven't tuned ourselves to sincerity, to honesty, to a sense of soulful dignity. So when we're just expressing, and we make a lot of mistakes, we feel like judgments and shame and guilt, we have all these mistakes, and then we just don't express ourselves anymore. And what happens is we're no longer moved by life. We no longer have relationships that are moving. We never have friends that are moving. We have relationships, we may have friends, but it's not moving. It doesn't move me. It doesn't move my soul, because I'm not allowing myself to actually move with soul. And that becomes the dilemma, and we call the drama of it, okay? When you are moving with soul, your movement in the relationship and the friendship, it becomes a play. And a play, just like soccer, it's a collaboration. So when I see all the stuff, okay, the words someone likes there and they don't like them, that kind of thing, it's really showcasing our disbelief in our ability as a person, either you're male or female, you have all this kind of, I'm like they're married and they like me, but they don't want to be with me, or I'm obsessed with that person, but they're interlocked with that person, or I'm with somebody, but they're also with somebody else. All like whatever convoluted, complicated thing that's going on. When we are engaging in something that isn't sincere to us, okay, that's not sincere to us, basically we have a disbelief that our sincerity of the heart has the ability to be captured. So what that means is captured, like capturing a butterfly kind of thing. That our sincerity, we have a disbelief that a sincerity of the heart, it will not be captured. So we really believe that our sincerity of the heart, whatever, it could be soulfulness, sincerity, there's so many words for that, okay? It could be your inner child, it could be the way you express yourself, your talent, it's just your uniqueness. That if you disbelieve that sincerity of your heart will not be captured, basically what happens is we start to capture other people. And when we kind of do that, sometimes we kind of put our sincerity aside of what we really want, what really lights us up, and we start to we're trying to capture something because we feel like we disbelieve that we can actually do it naturally. So we engage in relationships that are very unnatural for us, just to kind of, because we don't believe, okay, I gotta capture this because I don't believe that I'm good enough to be captured by the universe, by Mother Earth, and to be placed exactly where I feel most sincere, and this collaboration is most sincere. So this is the higher levels of wisdom that like I said, pressed down like coal, you get into that diamond through that choice of liberation. That's the door, the double side door. One double side door leads to that carbon of death, and usually that comes from just fear, giving into that, believing in that, and continue to indulge in that, whatever that reality of I'm in the dirt and I'm not worthy and I'm just crap, that kind of thing. You get pressed even deeper down into the dirt and you become like carbon, death, or liberation. And that's that door of self-empowerment. That's that door of transforming or transmutating this reality, whatever it could be, these deep emotions, into a tool, a pathway, a method that brings about a greater wisdom with yourself, where you begin to have this light pass through, like a light bulb. There's this velocity moving through you that it's here to bring forth greater life, new life, fresh life. Okay, a balance to life, a justice, a harmony, a co-creation with life. So, and with my journey of sexuality, what brought that about is that Scorpio, that Pluto, that Scorpio. So this is kind of an overall, okay, sort of path that's brought me to where I am today. So when I think about the emotional ache that I went through, sometimes I cry, especially during my periods where I feel very upset sometimes, and I feel sometimes triggered, or I wonder, that wondering about things, contemplations, analyzing things. But through the acceptance of just like, I just accept the decision that was made. That's just how it is. I can't really do much about it, just accept it. That acceptance has freed any sort of, I don't know the word, any sort of attachment or karma or repeat, kind of words come to mind, that I may have with that person. That acceptance has freed that. It has allowed my energy to move whatever that kind of thing that was going on, and to move it into a rotation around me, okay, rotation of thought form, or rotation of emotional experience that brings about a greater sense of closeness with my own sincerity, with my decisions, with my choices, with sincerity towards my judgments, my own sort of feelings of being ashamed or embarrassed, or feeling just the heavy emotions. It has brought this deeper fondness, this deeper closeness to letting the experiences evolve, and to be moved, and to be transformed in a very welcoming manner. So that, even though it's super heavy duty emotions, I have welcomed evolution quite naturally, have welcomed evolution, have welcomed movement that wants to move in a way that I maybe have not before, or I've never really done, or maybe it's not in my expectation, kind of thing. And that's again, that Scorpio energy. So I'm just going to leave you guys with this discussion for today, and may my sexuality thus far help you with your own